Good evening. It is a sweeping probe into alleged police corruption. Ontario's Inspector General of Policing has announced all 45 police departments in the province will be under review.
The move comes just days after Toronto police officers were charged in a corruption case linked to organized crime. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is live tonight. And Siobhan, we've learned Toronto's chief is looking to suspend more officers without pay.
That is the next domino to fall in this still unfolding criminal investigation. As for that review, I've talked to many people who work in policing or have in the past, and they say they've never seen a review of quite this scope.
Cars coming up behind.
They're bombshell allegations of corruption, bribery, conspiracy to commit murder, and drug trafficking involving Toronto police.
This is amongst the greatest betrayals that I've ever seen in my career.
The revelations of Project South and the arrest of 7 current and 1 former Toronto police officer have upended public trust.
Without that trust, it's almost impossible to serve your communities.
The fractures so deep, Ontario's Inspector General of Policing is launching an unprecedented review, not just of Toronto police.
We'll look at the entire sector across Ontario. Once the inspection is complete, the inspector will provide a findings report, which we will make public.
The monumental task of digging into every police service in the province will be done by someone yet to be hired, a movement to ensure
that this work is focused, that it is the top priority and only priority of this individual.
It adds some distance, too. Teschner is a former executive on the Toronto Police Services Board and swore in the current chief.
I think it's crucial right off the bat to make sure that if whoever they do decide to bring in, that is people or persons that have nothing to do with Ontario.
It's not clear when this new investigator will start their work.
That's a huge task. I mean, the OPP has 165 reporting locations alone.
The Toronto Police Chief welcomes the expanded scope triggered by Project South.
I'll be seeking the suspension without pay for 6 of the 7 members who have been alleged to have committed criminal offenses.
He is making some adjustments.
There's some very high-performing staff sergeants and sergeants have been reassigned to 12th Division effective immediately.
And Toronto police say they'll continue to be proactive to root out corruption.
We'll be getting recommendations as the work progresses and can begin implementing improvements right away.
Thank you so much.
Rather than wait for a report that could be years away. Tonight, the union speaking for Toronto police officers worries that this investigation might be overly broad. Their president writes in a statement that he doesn't want his members to be collateral damage for the bad acts of a few. He says that the Toronto Police Association must have a seat at the table through this process. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Well, thank you, Siobhan. It's the first day commuters can take advantage of the new Eglinton Crosstown LRT.
The line officially opened yesterday, but for those who waited more than a decade to use it, today was the first time it faced the weekday rush. CTV's Shelley was speaking to people on the new line today as they made their way to and from work, and he joins us live tonight with more. Sean, how'd it go?
Well, Michelle, many people were saying how fast the commute was, but many more people were also saying how long it took to get here.
The Monday commute is the first real test for the Eglinton Crosstown LRT, a trip that has been a long time coming.
I'm excited. This thing started building when I was 10 years old.
Stephanie Lazarus, now 24 years old, is riding the LRT to work at the St. Regis Hotel downtown, a trip that normally takes an hour.
My goal is to get to work in like 40 minutes today.
Starting at O'Connor Station, what used to be a bus to the Bloor subway with a transfer from Yonge to King will now involve only one change at Eglinton Station to the Yonge line. According to Metrolinx, the $13 billion, 19-kilometer, 25-stop Crosstown LRT will move passengers across the city 60% faster. Along Line 5 today, the ride may be fast, but riders can't ignore the slow construction.
We've been watching it for 15 years. I thought it'd be dead by the time they finally opened this thing, but I'm really happy it's open.
When I heard them digging years and years ago, I said, oh, it's just around the corner, and it wasn't.
Bob Hading is a doctor who's riding for the first time today. He says now that it's finally here, the LRT will help his patients.
Well, I'm pleased. I've been on it. It was quick.
There was a 30-minute delay for a medical emergency over the lunch hour, but for the most part, Line 5 moved well today, especially for those used to taking a bus.
It was different because it's very smooth. There's no traffic and all of that stuff, so no delay. It's very fast.
For Stephanie Lazarus, the ride to the Yonge subway line felt quick, and her goal of a 40-minute commute is likely, which helps because
I left my house kind of late. I should be at work soon, but it's fine. This is really how you test it. You leave your house too late, and then you're like, let's see if it'll get me there on time.
a new bar for transit in the city, ending a long chapter that's hard to forget.
So with the construction chapter behind us now, the city can look forward to the promise of the LRT, hoping that the commute chapter will be faster than expected. Reporting live, I'm Shelley with Michelle. Send it back to you.
Thank you, Sean. And we'll have more on the Crosstown in moments, including the reaction from businesses affected by construction delays. That's coming up in moments.
And we have more news in a moment, but first a look at the forecast. We are getting past the deep freeze and onto more normal temperatures for this time of year. That's the good news. Let's bring in Lindsay Morrison with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan. Yeah, it was still chilly today, no doubt, but tomorrow we could climb all the way to 0. We haven't been at 0 or above in over 3 weeks here in the city of Toronto. So yes, that is a big change and one worth celebrating. It is still -8 degrees this hour at Pearson Airport. It feels like -12. We've got light winds coming out of the south and not much happening on the satellite and radar yet, but we do have some snow in the forecast. It's mainly going to impact us through the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning with a couple of fresh centimeters just in time for the drive to work tomorrow. We'll take you through everything you need to know weather-wise for the week ahead. Coming up, for now though, Michelle, I'll send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. A man has been taken to hospital following a house fire overnight. Flames broke out at the home near Dundas and Sherbourne just before 11 last night. A man in his 60s was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Fire crews are looking into what may have sparked this blaze. Meanwhile, emergency crews were called to a house fire in Oshawa. This happened at a home at the corner of Park Road and Quebec Street around 4:30 a.m. The cause of the fire still under investigation. No injuries reported here.
A 25-year-old man has been charged after a pedestrian was struck and killed in Etobicoke earlier this year. The 28-year-old man was crossing Dundas at Acorn Avenue when he was struck by the vehicle. He was rushed to hospital where he later died. The driver involved remained at the scene. 25-year-old Joseph Portillo is facing charges.
Returning to our coverage of the Eglinton Crosstown LRT.
The opening of the line is being met with anticipation by businesses whose very livelihood was threatened by construction delays. CTV's Allison Hurst is live tonight in Little Jamaica with more details. Allison.
Nathan, we've been speaking with a lot of business owners, and this is the moment they have been waiting so long for that LRT to start rolling along the tracks and hopefully bring people back to this neighborhood. Steps away from Mark Phillips' restaurant, the new Oakwood LRT station is open and operating.
We are excited that the subway is open.
Excited about what it could mean for his business and the community if the new Eglinton line's opening day was any indication.
What I see yesterday in my business, for instance, it was very, very busy, lots of foot traffic. So I'm excited.
Line 5 has been in the works for almost 2 decades. During that time, the businesses that made up Little Jamaica were thrust into a construction zone. Dozens did not survive.
It's rough, but I'm hanging in there and I'm still here. What keeps me going is the customers coming in and appreciate the service that we offer.
Grocery store owner Andrew Kerr says the government should provide assistance to the businesses that waited all those years for the transit line.
Just money for the people to get back on their feet, for the business to grow. Yeah. And hopefully the subway opening will bring traffic and, revitalize Little Jamaica.
Signs are posted all around the neighborhood calling for community members to demand accountability and compensation for the community.
Millions of dollars have already been invested on Eglinton by the federal government into small business. We're wondering where that money went, but we've got to do more and make sure that it's spent wisely.
John Ferrari's clothing store has been in Little Jamaica 50 years, but fears his days are numbered.
Completely still struggling. We're trying to stay afloat. I don't know how much longer we can do it.
He had some assistance from his landlord to make it through construction, but needs that influx of customers off the train.
It's open today. I don't see many foot traffic happening from it, so that was supposed to help us. Not yet.
He says his fingers are crossed. With the LRT now operating, customers will come. So as you heard from all of those business owners, there's a lot of hope and excitement that now that the LRT is open, that all those customers will be returning and flooding the streets here, but also a little bit of skepticism as to how long that's going to take and how long it'll take for them to really notice it in their bottom line. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Michelle, Nathan, back to you in studio.
Thank you, Allison. And at Toronto City Hall today, concerns remain over the Eglinton Crosstown LRT.
Not just about why it took so long to get on the rails, but what's being done to make sure it gets up to speed quickly. CTV's Natalie Johnson has the story.
Eglinton LRT service may be off to a smooth start, but getting to this point, 6 years late and $1 billion over budget, was a rough ride.
One thing we know about this premier, he doesn't like accountability.
On Friday, Doug Ford rejected opposition demands for a public inquiry into what went wrong with the Eglinton Crosstown LRT.
Guys, you're beating a dead horse here.
But from Queen's Park to City Hall, the calls continued today.
There needs to be some sort of inquiry from these two LRT lines in terms of the lessons learned, so that when we're going forward with the next iteration of LRTs, whether it's Eglinton East or Waterfront East, we don't sort of repeat the same mistakes that have already been made.
Here at City Hall, Council directed staff to implement active transit signal priority on the new LRT lines following the sluggish rollout of the Finch West LRT in December. Those adjustments don't begin on the Eglinton line for another few weeks and won't be in full effect until May.
It doesn't take an engineer to understand that if a vehicle needs to slow down and stop at a traffic signal, it's not going to be rapid transit. And Eglinton is really fast in the underground section, but it's too slow on the surface rail side because it still has to slow down and stop at traffic signals. And I think everyone understands that if we're going to spend over $12 billion on building rapid transit needs to go faster than the buses.
I think we can reflect back on Mayor Rob Ford's record, where he really emphasized that transit ought to be underground. And I think if this is a city that has an ambitious agenda to build in the future, that might be something that comes top of mind, because when you share the right-of-way, you share the delays.
This is all by the province. And the design that was chosen was cars first, transit second. And now we're having to catch up to say, no, the transit has to go first.
City Hall calling on the province to green light what needs to be done to ensure future Toronto transit projects stay on time, on budget, and on track. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
If you haven't had the chance to ride the new LRT, we want to give you a taste of what the transit line is like.
We sent our Rahim Ladani to give us a personal perspective of what it's like to cross the city on the Crosstown and see just how long it takes.
Come with me as I ride and time the Eglinton Crosstown LRT from end to end. The clock starts the second the LRT pulls out of Mount Dennis Station. Now let's see what commuters' first impressions are of Toronto's newest transit line.
So far, so good.
It reminds me of a lot of the more modern transportation systems in Europe as well.
It took a while to be done, but I think it's going to be very convenient.
What's quickly noticeable on Line 5 is the speed underground. It feels fast. Metrolink says tunnel speeds will eventually reach 80 kilometers per hour. That's valuable time saved for riders.
I live in Midtown, right? My university is York University all the way in North York. So I go from Midtown to Line 1 and all the way up. So it's just going to make it so much easier.
Travelers also have access to internet below ground. I was able to conduct Google searches and load apps like Instagram. As the LRT travels onto street level, the experience quickly changes.
Slow, a bit slow.
What's very evident on the above-ground portion of Line 5 is the lack of transit signal priority. Take a look at that red light. Between O'Connor and Golden Mile, there are several stops, not far apart, but it takes a while to get to there because of the stop-and-go traffic. Commuters have also noticed other areas that need improving.
The signage for departures at Kennedy Station was not correct, so I'm sure that'll be fixed.
As the LRT pulls into Kennedy Station, I stopped the clock, and we have our total trip time. Faster than Metrolinx's projected 52 to 54 minutes. We made it from the west end to the east end of the city. 19 kilometers, 25 stations in 51 minutes and 1 second. That's pretty fast. Rahim Ladani, CTV News, Toronto.
Still to come, it's a rare sight, partially frozen falls. Tourists are dazzled by the global attraction's breathtaking ice over on the American side of Niagara Falls.
We have some important information for anyone planning a flight to Cuba out of Pearson or any other Canadian airport.
Air Canada is suspending all flights to the island because of a scarcity of aviation fuel. CTV's Heather Wright has the details.
Beginning Tuesday, jet fuel will no longer be available to international airlines in Cuba. The latest sign of the devastating impact the U.S. fuel blockade is having on the Caribbean nation.
We came to Cuba knowing what to expect. There's some things you'll have every day, some things you won't. I mean, that's a norm for here.
But what has been the norm is deteriorating quickly with widespread shortages of food, fuel, and medicine. Air Canada announced today it is suspending services to Cuba, focusing instead on repatriating the roughly 3,000 passengers who are still there. WestJet and Air Transat have not suspended service but have issued travel notices, allowing for free changes or cancellations. This all comes as Cuba experiences the worst economic crisis in nearly 70 years.
We don't get to see how it truly affects the Cuban life on the island.
For decades, Venezuela had been the primary source of oil for Cuba, a source that was cut off when the United States captured Venezuela's president in January. Then U.S. President Donald Trump said he would impose tariffs on any country that sells or provides oil to Cuba, further depleting its sources of fuel. Some experts say Cuba is on the brink.
By the typical definition of what we think of as a failed state, Cuba is sort of on the cusp of it.
The government has closed hotels in Veradero and is consolidating tourists to save on resources. Fuel sales are being limited while school and business hours have also been reduced. Cuba has said it is open to negotiating with the United States to end this oil blockade. Meanwhile, the government is warning its citizens to prepare for hard times beyond what they are experiencing now. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
At Pearson Airport this afternoon, many travelers returning from Cuba today, as they planned, said they were unaware of the severity of the issues facing the country until they were leaving. Most said they're happy they'd made it home before flight cancellations or changes went into effect.
We actually just found out when we were boarding on our bus this morning from other people. So we've just found out we were going to be delayed 25 minutes, and it really wasn't that bad for us.
But they're such a great group and a great country. I just feel really badly for them.
Honestly, everything was great there. Like, there was lots of food. We experienced no power shortages. It's really, like, it sucks for the Cuban people, and obviously you have this, like, type of uncertainty because you feel bad for them, right? But we'll definitely want to go back once everything's up and running again.
A Canadian mining firm has received reports some of the workers abducted from one of its sites in Mexico has been found dead. Now, the 10 employees were taken last month from a mine site in the western state of Sinaloa. It prompted a search by local authorities and the military. Vancouver-based Vizsla Silver Corporation says it's awaiting confirmation from the Mexican authorities on today's tragic news. It's unclear how many bodies were found. 4 people have been arrested for suspected involvement in the workers' disappearance.
We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help.
Savannah Guthrie says her family's at an hour of desperation. The NBC Today host released a new video pleading for help from the public nationwide as the search for her mom continues. Now, the video was posted hours before a purported ransom deadline apparently set by Nancy Guthrie's abductors. Authorities believe the 84-year-old was taken against her will from her home just outside Tucson more than a week ago. The FBI is now asking for the public's help on digital billboards in several major cities from Texas to California. The agency has already offered a $50,000 reward for information. The Canadian government is calling for the release of Hong Kong's most vocal critic of China. Media tycoon Jimmy Lai has been sentenced to 20 years in prison, ending a high-profile case. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand posted this on X, saying Canada is disappointed with the sentencing of pro-democracy media figure Jimmy Lai today in Hong Kong. Mr. Lai is 78 years old and in poor health, and we call for his immediate humanitarian release. Canada will continue to support free and independent media worldwide. Lai was accused of conspiracy to collude with foreign forces and publishing seditious materials. The British citizen denied all charges, telling the court he was a political prisoner facing persecution from Beijing. He was arrested in August 2020 and convicted last year. A number of other countries also are expressing concern about the sentencing.
Arctic security has become increasingly important for several countries, including Canada. In Luxembourg today, NATO's Supreme Allied Commander in Europe provided the latest on a mission to the region.
I think it's been reported widely that we're doing some planning now on a new Arctic mission called Arctic Sentry that has not kicked off yet, but we're in the final stages of planning for that enhanced vigilance activity.
The general says the alliance might have something to announce later this week. NATO is looking to strengthen security in the high north amid a continuing presence by Russia and an increasing presence by China. The Arctic Sentry mission was one of the topics discussed by the NATO chief at the recent World Economic Forum. Meanwhile, there was a renewed pledge of support from two NATO allies for strengthening defense supply chains, including in the Arctic. Mark Carney welcomed his counterpart from Luxembourg to the nation's capital today. Luke Frieden leads a nation that is one of the largest sources of foreign direct investment in Canada. The two leaders committed to expanding bilateral trade and investment, including in advanced manufacturing, infrastructure, and financial services.
Below freezing temperatures are creating a new type of attraction for tourists at one of the world's most popular natural wonders. The American side of Niagara Falls is partially frozen. The formations might make it look like the falls are totally iced over, but the strong currents of more than 20 million gallons of water every minute are too powerful to freeze completely. So it still flows underneath the frozen layer of mist and spray. Visitors love the view, calling it beautiful, gorgeous, and a gem. The river has only been completely halted once, when it was blocked by an ice jam in 1848.
Coming up on CTV News, the long road to the Eglinton Crosstown LRT. Years late, $1 billion over budget and plagued by delays and disputes. We look back at why Line 5 failed to stay on schedule.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, many people use social media sites like Facebook and Instagram. But what happens if your account is suspended and you're locked out? Viewers tell us they've been kicked off platforms for no apparent reason. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
Well, it was a bitterly cold weekend, and even this morning we were at minus 20 degrees at Pearson Airport. Check out Muskoka. The temperature was minus 30 degrees, and it felt even colder than that. Our jet stream becomes much more zonal this week, so while it's not looking and feeling like spring just yet, this is a step in the right direction. 0 degrees for us tomorrow. How about 2 on the plus side in Hamilton and Niagara Falls? Coming up, we're going to take a look at your Valentine's Day and Family Day forecasts. That's just ahead here on CTV News.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Many of us use social media platforms to connect with family and friends, and some businesses also use them to reach out to their customers.
But some viewers tell CTV News their accounts were suspended after being accused of posting inappropriate material. Here's Pat Foran with a Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Nathan. Many people have social media accounts, so when they're shut down without warning, it can lead to losses of photos, videos, and contacts. And if it happens to you, it can seem almost impossible to get those accounts back.
It's something I rely on so much for getting new clients.
Jennifer Gaskell of Whitby runs Pink Palm Travel, a business she has grown over the past 5 years using Instagram.
That's how I grew a lot of my client base, which, you know, is part of the reason why it really stings to have it be suspended right now.
Last summer, Gaskell was stunned when her Instagram account was suspended for having inappropriate content, something that made no sense to her.
It was flagged for the reasons that they gave me were absurd. It was like nudity, for example. I immediately was like shocked.
She contacted Meta to say there must be a mistake and to have her account reinstated without success.
There's been really nothing but silence from Meta on this.
It said that was like banned, right? Suspended.
Yeah, the San Sivaraj of Scarborough had an Instagram account for 10 years with over 1,000 followers. It was also suspended due to content violations. He has no idea why, and he also can't get it restored.
Honestly, I just want my Instagram account back because I feel that I shouldn't lose it for something I didn't do.
With Meta, they use automated systems to detect policy violations, and sometimes these automated systems can make a mistake.
A social media expert says having suspended social media accounts reinstated can be difficult.
All the content we're posting online, again, is rented to these social media platforms. It's not really our own. We don't have control over it the way we wish we could.
A Meta spokesperson told CTV News support for Facebook and Instagram is available online, and there are steps to take to have accounts restored. But after months of trying, Sivaraja and Gaskell remain locked out of their accounts. They had to open new ones and start all over again.
Personally, I've had a 50% drop in inquiries, so it does have a direct connection.
And if you have contacts on social media platforms, it's recommended you back them up in case your account is suspended or blocked. Meta is using AI, which means if you do have trouble, you may not speak with an actual person for help. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, no doubt about it. This week, starting off very cold. It was frigid with that wind chill this morning, but it is really exciting to look ahead and just to tomorrow and the days ahead where we start to get to bearable temperatures. I think it might feel downright warm.
Yeah, 0 plus 1, it's almost like you want to wear shorts and a T-shirt because we haven't had that weather for so long.
Yeah, we say this in weather all the time. It is all relative. And right now this week, 1 degree is going to feel like the middle of spring, isn't it? Last time we were above the freezing mark, 2 degrees to be exact, was January 17th. So that was more than 3 weeks ago. And yeah, this is our 23rd day, I believe, below 0 degrees, but changes coming. Today we had another cold one, but at least we had some sunshine in the mix along with a few clouds. Minus 20 degrees to start off the day, feeling colder than that. And yes, we did spend the majority of the daytime hours today below seasonal, making it to around minus 8 degrees for a high. Here's the thing, though. Our temperature is actually going to rise through the overnight hours tonight. We also have a little bit of snow on the way. And I say a little bit because it's nothing quite like those storms we had in January, but a couple of fresh centimeters possible as we make our way through the overnight and into the morning hours tomorrow. Just enough in the GTA to cause a little bit of a nuisance for us for the Tuesday morning commute. So it's along that cold front that we get the snow. Looks like 2 to maybe 4 centimeters in the GTA. You'll notice that it's mainly Toronto and areas east and north. West end of the GTA not expected to be impacted quite the same way this time around, but maybe a little bit of light snow, just nothing major accumulating. There is about 3 a.m. We'll pause this again at around 7 a.m. so you can see it's already pulling away to the east. But again, you're likely going to have to dust off your car, maybe do some light shoveling. Conditions are pretty quiet over the next few days. Beyond that, chance of flurries into Wednesday. And then it's mainly cloudy, but it's warmer as we make our way toward what for many is a long weekend. So we'll get to that. Minus 8 degrees at this hour here in Toronto. And what you see is what you get. There isn't much of a wind chill. That's a big improvement from yesterday when we hovered around minus 13 degrees for a high. A reminder, our provincial cold spot this morning, Muskoka at nearly minus 30 degrees. Tonight's low, yes, we're already there. We should rise to about minus 5 just before morning tomorrow. And then the daytime high, there it is. It's a beautiful sight. 0 degrees, right at the freezing mark here in Toronto, but perhaps slightly above in some places like St. Thomas, Welland. 1 degree tomorrow for you in the Burlington area. And as mentioned, maybe 2 on the plus side around Hamilton and Niagara Falls. We too could see some plus side temperatures this week. Here's a look at the forecast. Slight dip in temperature again for Thursday, but still close to seasonal. And then the weekend looks pretty calm, pretty quiet, and a little warmer. This is great news for your Valentine's Day plans. And there's the first look at Family Day. Just a chance of flurries at this point and a high of +1. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Also tonight, improved family supports, mental health partnerships, and digital availability. Wounded Warriors Canada expands access for veterans and families of first responders.
A valued support program by Wounded Warriors is now online to help spouses of trauma-exposed professionals across Canada.
CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan takes a closer look.
Chris Linford was a 33-year member of the Canadian military, largely working in healthcare as a nurse.
I was deployed to Rwanda, Africa, just on the tail end of the genocide.
The experience led to a diagnosis of PTSD years later.
PTSD is kind of one of those injuries that makes you stare at your belly button all day long. So you don't really have a great deal of capacity to see how your behavior is impacting others. I knew there was something wrong.
And when Katherine Linford eventually sought help for herself, she didn't even realize it was connected to Chris's behavior.
I sought help just because I thought I need to figure out what's going on with me. I was sad, I was angry, I was frustrated. So I just needed to find out why.
She and 2 experienced mental health workers appear in a new online program called the Spousal Resiliency Program, a spin-off of Wounded Warriors' in-person course.
It is not a program to bash our spouses. It's about taking care of us so that we are in a better place to take care, not to take care of them, but to understand them better.
Wounded Warriors CEO Scott Maxwell says having the program online vastly expands accessibility.
Removing geographical barriers to accessing what we know is needed from spouses no matter where they reside in Canada.
He says in Ontario alone, there are some 80,000 public safety personnel, not including retirees or family.
You're talking about upwards of 700,000 to 1 million trauma-exposed professional people.
The 3-hour-long program is meant to be read and absorbed over several weeks and months.
It's a game changer for the country.
And Wounded Warriors also has support programs for couples and children of trauma-exposed professionals. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
The official cause of death for Katherine O'Hara has been revealed. The Toronto-born actor died on January 30th from a pulmonary embolism with rectal cancer listed as an underlying cause. That's according to a Los Angeles County death certificate. It's unclear how long the comedy icon was battling cancer. She died at her home in Los Angeles.
Returning to the Eglinton Crosstown LRT, the first weekday of operation went smoothly for those who've been eagerly anticipating the new transit service.
But getting to this point was a rocky road with 15 years of construction and delays. To fully grasp the excitement and the exasperation surrounding Toronto's newest transit line, you have to go back nearly 20 years. To 2007. It was first proposed as part of then Mayor David Miller's Transit City.
People need to be served by rapid transit in order to make a choice.
Pitched as the next generation of streetcars, a mostly surface LRT with a small section underground. But by 2011, there was a new man in charge at City Hall. Mayor Rob Ford was all about subways. Yet the province put its foot down, and together the LRT plan got a rewrite, routing more of the line underground through Midtown.
This line will be mostly underground and will have up to 26 stops.
Metrolinx was tasked with overseeing its implementation, forging a public-private partnership with Crosslinx Transit Solutions, the group selected to build the line. Preliminary construction got underway in 2011, touted at the time as the biggest transit project underway in North America. By 2014, our team got a peek at the boring machine doing its work underground. While above ground, in the many years that followed, the scale of the project and its impact was being felt by drivers, residents, and businesses.
It's really bad.
At one point, Crosslinx Transit Solutions sued Metrolinx for an extension, but in the summer of 2018, a 2021 opening date still seemed possible.
We don't expect any delays. We've planned and planned and planned.
And then a little thing called COVID happened. Not a bump in the road, a crater. The pandemic slowed down the work, disrupting crucial supply chains. Construction problems were mounting, and the 2021 deadline was missed. There were more lawsuits, Crosslinks and Metrolinks pointing the finger at each other amid hundreds of millions in unexpected costs, delays, and defects. A pushed-back completion date of 2022 came and went, and then no new date. In 2024, with drivers being trained, still no date.
I'm not going to speculate on dates because that gets us into a messy place.
Even when trains were traveling the line for testing, no opening date. Officials pointing to safety and reliability as a priority.
No comment. I'm unhappy.
The trains are running. The stations are finished.
Even as the TTC took over operational control, hopes for 2025 were ultimately dashed.
We've been waiting for a long time, and that's how many years now?
About 15 years since shovels first went into the ground, half a decade since that original opening date. Enough to make it one of the most delayed transit projects in the city's history. Making this very moment long awaited, to say the least.
Rolling on the LRT. After the break has been the backbone for musicians across the country for 60 years, but now Steve's Music is closing several of its stores. We take you inside the iconic downtown location as it pivots online. As we told you earlier, Air Canada has halted flights to Cuba. As B&M Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya reports, that decision is having an immediate effect on the airline's share price.
Shares of Air Canada ended the day in the red after the airline suspended flights to Cuba. Air Canada says the decision is because of an ongoing shortage of fuel on the island. The airline says it will be sending empty flights down to Cuba to return around 3,000 passengers. Shares of Air Canada ended the day down almost 5%. And the Canadian dollar is up 60 cents to end the day to 73.76. West Texas Intermediate climbed to 64.36. Western Canadian Select is up 47 cents to 48.04. And the TSX climbed to end the day ending just above 33,000. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
The operator of Eddie Bauer's Canadian store says it's filed for bankruptcy protection in the U.S. and will soon make a similar move here in Canada. Eddie Bauer LLC says the 220 stores across both countries will remain open, but it will host liquidation sales as the court processes get underway and the business seeks a potential buyer. If it can't find someone to purchase the business, Eddie Bauer will begin a wind down of its Canadian and U.S. operations. The company has 31 stores in Canada, with about half in Ontario. Some have started marking down inventory by at least 60%.
Cineplex is closing its location in the Beaches later this month. The company says it will host a final day of screenings at the theater on February 17th. Cineplex says the decision was made after the landlord chose to lease the space to another business. The company also thanked the community for their support. Since the 1970s, it's been an iconic stop for music lovers in the city.
But the end appears near for Steve's Music as the company that runs 5 stores announced it is restructuring and will close some locations. CTV's Beth McDonnell has more.
Customers try out guitars at Steve's Music Store as the song on this long-time Queen Street West business fades out.
I didn't know Steve was closing down, so the moment I heard that, I said, I guess I'll come here one last time and see what all they've got. Every musician I've spoken to over here has some story of Steve's. People's family have been coming here for years. Clearly, this is a Toronto icon.
Many have been showing up at the shop after hearing about the liquidation sale over the weekend at all 5 of the company's locations in Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto.
I came here for my first guitar, and I come here for repairs as well. And now if the store closes down, it's a shame.
A manager in Montreal tells CTV News Toronto, except for the flagship location in Montreal, all stores will shutter.
I'm bittersweet about it. I'm sad. It's been I guess a staple of music for my whole life. My uncle used to work here, and he's worked here since he was, I think, a teenager, just retired. If I can support them in some way, I will. And I mean, look at that beauty. Come on now.
A letter to friends and customers posted on the company's website says Steve's Music Store opened in Toronto in the 1970s, alongside the rise of the city's music community and punk movement, adding it is with a heavy heart they've taken the difficult decision to undertake a formal restructuring, citing significant disruption across the sector and financial pressure.
Back in the day, this used to be a place I shopped all the time, and it's sad to see him go.
Jeff Jones has lived most of his life in Toronto and downtown. He's a musician who plays with some of Canada's biggest names in music.
Is just a part of this whole thing. The venues across the street, Steve's Music here, the TV station just down the block. It was part of a whole scene. But things are different now.
The company says it hopes to emerge leaner and more focused and looks forward to serving customers during the sale. Staff in Montreal say the Queen West store will close March 1st. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
Canada picked up its second medal at the Milano Cortina Olympics today, another bronze.
Ontario's Megan Oldham made it to the podium after an impressive rebound in free ski slopestyle. CTV's Scott Hurst has the highlights from day 3 of the games.
This thing is really heavy. I think it's beautiful.
Canada's Megan Oldham is already loving life as an Olympic medalist. The 24-year-old from Parry Sound, Ontario, north of Toronto, soared to new heights on the biggest stage. With skis raised and medals around their necks, the top 3 making sure they got a podium selfie to freeze the moment in time.
Oh, I feel incredible. It still feels a bit like a dream.
Bronze in women's ski slopestyle and redemption for finishing just off the podium in big air at the Beijing Games 4 years ago. An Olympic accomplishment Oldham will never forget.
I'm so proud of myself for putting a run down and being able to get up on the podium and bring home a bronze for Canada.
Quebec's Naomi Ernest, who finished 7th in the ski slopestyle final, says it's an inspiration to watch her teammate on the podium.
Definitely seeing her success here really inspires me, and I'm so happy for her, and hopefully I can do the same one day or maybe in 4 years.
Expect to see both women compete in the big air competition as well later in the week. It was a close call for Quebec City's Beatrice Lamarche in the women's 1,000-meter speed skating final. The 27-year-old in her first Olympics was in the bronze medal position watching the final pair of skaters. Ultimately, the second-generation Olympian was bumped down to 5th, less than 1 second off the podium. Canada's medal count is now 2 as the first full week of competition is well underway. Bronze for Valérie Malte in long track speed skating, and now bronze for Megan Oldham in ski slopestyle. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
Also today, Canada's women's hockey team defeated Czechia 5-1. Julia Gosling scored twice, with Kristen O'Neill, Sarah Fillier, and Laura Stacey also finding the back of the net. But it may have been a costly win. Captain Marie-Philippe Poulin left in the first period with an apparent right knee injury after being checked along the boards. She did not return for the final 40 minutes. Canada is 2-0 in preliminary round action and plays the U.S. tomorrow.
Can't wait. Just ahead, framing the tensions between cultural tradition and a new landscape. We take you to an art exhibit that explores heritage, survival, and surrender. A new exhibition at Scarborough's Cedar Ridge Cultural Center is shining a light on the intersection between Black culture and Western modernism.
CTV's Jessica Smith spoke with the artist behind the showcase.
Art meets storytelling in a new exhibition at the Cedar Ridge Creative Center.
Keepers of Identity is my story, moving to Canada, living in Canada, existing in Canada.
Shagun Caesar came to Canada from Nigeria in 2021. His work, a representation of what it's like to find a sense of self in a new landscape, starting with the Mondrian-style grid paintings.
So I'm placing Black subjects against that background because when I came in, it felt like the old system would swallow me all. So I felt like I needed to do something so I can be seen.
The Mondrian-style images represents one of 3 sectors of the exhibition, each room a different chapter.
Was why I decided to I'm showing like 3 collections. I'm telling the whole story of my life in Canada, and it's been amazing.
Finishing with the visual of beginning to open up and explore a sense of belonging.
In some cases, you see them like they are like more covered up. in some, like this one, they are like not even like covered up at all. So this is like a very delicate balance between survival and surrender.
Showcasing the evolution of maintaining culture and celebrating the Black diaspora, all while connecting to a new home.
Keepers of Identity here at the Cedar Ridge Creative Center is free to attend and will be in place through to February 25th. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
All right, so you can call it a warm-up on the way.
We'll take it. Temperatures near freezing or slightly above in the days to come. But before that happens, a little bit of light snow, just enough to maybe grease the roads a little bit into tomorrow morning. This is what you're waking up to. So it's not a lot of snow. In fact, some parts of the GTA will barely get a trace of snow. Others will see maybe 2 to 4 centimeters, and this all does taper off by the afternoon. Just for fun, we take you to Italy, where the next 3 days of the Winter Games look like this weather-wise. Not too eventful, which is, I think, some good news for the athletes competing. And then our 7-day forecast here, a little closer to home, shows a pretty quiet-looking 7-day forecast, which isn't a bad thing either, and a couple of days where we are above the freezing mark, especially into the family day-long weekend. Michelle and Nathan.
Nope, those ones are looking nice. Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but you can join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Almu with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, thanks for watching and have a wonderful night.